And I started doing some studies, and one of those was, it was quite hard because they sort of did this thing where it was just an oval. They'd sort of cut out the faces, so there was no hair or anything. So there was a load of faces that I wouldn't recognize, loads of people I didn't know, and in amongst them there were friends and family that I'm very close to, and very famous celebrities as well. So they were kind of all mixed up. And the only person, even out of my family and so forth, like the only person I recognized was Michael Jackson, which was like really weird. And it was basically because, bless him, like towards the end, like he just didn't look human. So face blindness, or prosopagnosia, as it's officially known, is a condition where the part of the brain that deals with recognizing faces doesn't work properly. I acquired it when I was in a road accident when I was 19, and as a result of that, I this was one of many problems that so it was in amongst a load of problems, other problems that I suffered as a result of a brain injury that I sustained during that accident. So that's how I ended up with it. It was strange for me. Some people, most people, I think, have what's called developmental prosopagnosia, so they're born with it, whereas I acquired it from my injury. And the thing was that I acquired it in amongst a whole load of other problems, so amnesia and other things. It was quite difficult because I was dealing with a lot of other problems at the time, and the first sort of year after the accident I was very sheltered, and so I wasn't having to deal with work situations and networking and things like that, and meeting people, or even just I didn't have to meet people out and about very much. So that took a while to realize my limitations in other ways as well. And then it wasn't, and for a while we thought that maybe when I didn't recognize someone, my mom or whoever, that I just had forgotten them in that instance. Whereas so it took a while to realize, maybe even 2 years, I don't know, before we realized that this was a specific problem with the facial thing as well as the memory thing. So yeah, it's funny because I think people kind of don't understand, because it must seem so weird to most people. They kind of don't understand how complex the thing that they're looking at is. There's thousands of variations, tiny variations in the face, but because you're born with this ability, you just think, well, obviously you see a face, you know who it is. And the best way that I've ever thought that you can kind of try to explain it is, it's a bit like how most people are not good at drawing faces. So you can know your mum or your brother or whoever, but if someone asks you to draw their face, for most people that's quite difficult, and they'll sit there and they'll draw a nose and eyes and whatever, but they'll find it quite difficult. And for me, it's kind of the same block in my brain that happens, where I can see the same face that you can all see, but I can't translate it into an ID that links me to memories of that person. So that's kind of how that works. So there's kind of a range of ways it affects me. Most of the time, thankfully, it's not so bad. It's kind of, just not recognizing friends and things, and you can sort of laugh it off or whatever. And then there've been one or two times when I've offended a few people. It doesn't happen that often, thankfully, but when I don't know who they are, and apparently I should know who they are. So that's happened a few times. So obviously that makes it a bit tricky with work sometimes. And then there've been, at the very worst end of it, there was I had a nasty experience a few years ago that kind of added a whole new dimension to it, where there was this quite unpleasant person who realized I had this problem and decided it would be fun to play games with it. And this person was quite threatening, and when I sort of made it clear I didn't want to know this person anymore, they sort of disappeared. And then a while after that, I met another guy who came up to me and started chatting away to me, and sort of made me think that I knew him. So I thought, oh well, I must know him then. And he said, oh well, let's meet up. And then after that, I got a text from him saying that was great, and it came from the same number as the other guy, and I realized that it was the same person that I really didn't want to see. And that for me was kind of a horrible moment, when I realized just how blind I am to it. Like, that I was seeing someone, I just chatted quite happily to someone that I was terrified of. So that was terrifying. And since then, even to this day, there have been times when I suddenly feel really paranoid and I think that I'm seeing. So it kind of changed it from wanting to see, looking to see people that I wanted to see in the crowd, to suddenly seeing someone I really didn't want to see everywhere, even though he's not there. Like if I see someone that looks like him, I'll suddenly think, oh God. But most of the time it's relatively okay, and most of the time it's quite funny even, so there was one time when I went to the pub for a friend's birthday to meet my friends there. It wasn't even that big a pub, and I walked through the pub all the way to the back looking around to see everybody, and couldn't see, and looked straight at everybody, couldn't see them. Went to the bar, asked the guy at the bar, have you seen, is such and such a party here? And then as if by magic, all my mates were like stood around me, and just they sort of appeared and were like, Tom, we're like right here. So that was funny. And then like weddings are obviously, well, dating was hilarious. Obviously that was great fun. And thankfully my now wife has always dyed her hair bright red and never changed her hairstyle. So that always helped. Well, there was one time when she dyed it blonde. So I confused her with her sister for a bit. So that was fun. We have a daughter now who's only just turned 1, so she's quite little. But I always assumed that I would never forget my daughter, like what she, her face. And I hold her every day. I look at her face every day. I've taken God knows how many pictures of her. So, I know her face as such. But there was one day recently when I was flicking through Facebook and I was, going down the news feed, and I saw these baby pictures pop up, as so often is the case. And I thought, oh, well, that's a cute baby. Clicked on the pictures and didn't notice who had posted them, or there was no tags or whatever. Looked at this baby, and then realized when I did see who posted it and I saw a comment, I thought, oh my, this is actually my kid. So that was a really weird moment for me. So as I say, there's a range, but most of the time it's quite funny. You can laugh it off. So me and my wife are already speculating, no doubt she'll play pranks on me at some point. And, who knows what kind of person she'll end up being. It could be quite fun. As I say, a lot of the time it's quite lighthearted, so who knows, she might end up just playing innocent tricks on me, or it might be really upsetting. Who knows, when I go to pick her up and I can't find her or something. I don't know. It's a weird one because I'm entering this whole new chapter in my life. But I think, as with everything, as I say about facing any kind of disability, and obviously I'm dealing with other things as well, that it's just all about your perspective, and you have to kind of think about what you have and what you can do. And like I say, I just think of anytime I'm feeling down about it, I think of, there are lots of people that wouldn't be able to have as good a life with their kid as I can. So yeah, you just kind of, you make the best of it, really.